Welcome to Layers of Communication with your host, Lydia Taggart. Life presents experiences that add layers to who we are and how we see the world, affecting how we communicate. Lydia is here to take apart the layers and create new ways to connect and build relationships. So now, please welcome the host of Layers of Communication, your core boss, Lydia Taggart.
Welcome to Layers of Communication on TuneIn Radio and the BBM Global Network. I'm your host, Lydia Taggart, and we welcome your phone calls today at 1-866-451-1451. How was your week? It's been like a whole week since I talked to you. I had some amazing experiences this week I want to share with you. One of them was kind of this overarching theme of awesomeness and how awesome some people can be. But sometimes we have a little bit of manipulation sneaking in, and we don't even realize that we're being manipulated until we're already believing the lies and we're all living in it. So I'll tell you how I recognized this a little bit. This week we went to donate plasma. And I don't know if you've ever done that, but they use bigger than normal needles to get the plasma out. It's not like regular blood. And so my husband and I went in there, and he has this phobia of needles, didn't want to do it, but was going to do it anyway. And he has really good veins. So lucky him, he got taken in. And I did not have very big veins. Mine are too little. And they said, yeah, thanks for coming. Nah, no thanks. And so I got the privilege of sitting in the waiting room and waiting for like hours. And so, of course, my life has been kind of busy most of my life since I've been having quads and whatnot. And I don't usually sit down and watch TV. But there are shows that I hear about and I really want to watch, but they just aren't ever a really high priority for me. So I was excited to sit down, and this show that I've been wanting to watch for years was playing. And I sat down and I started watching this show, and I thought, yes, this is great. It's this woman, and she's a scientist who solves mysteries, and I love connecting the clues and seeing if I can figure it out before the person who's on the show. You know, I was really excited. Well, after about 5 minutes or so into the show, I was like, where are the men? Are there no men in this show at all? This is really kind of odd. Awesome characters, awesome women playing these characters, but there were no men anywhere. And I thought, that's kind of weird. It was weird enough that I noticed, right? And since my thing is relationships, and I kind of study how relationships work, I was going to pick up more than the average person probably would. So after a while, a man does come in. There are a fair amount of men in the show. And I noticed everything that one of the men said was shot down, and they were made to look stupid and just very unintelligent next to these mystery solving women that are amazing. And there's nothing wrong with having amazing women. I love amazing women. Why do we have to pick on the men? Why do we have to make them less? So I watched this for a while, and in the show, the main character was going to be having a baby, and she was 9 months pregnant. She was super ready to have a baby, and the man that was there, he was the father of the baby, and so he's like, you've got to calm down. You need to stop working. Let me take care of you. And she just kept pushing him aside, and she ended up having the baby not in the hospital because she waited too long. And anyway, it was an interesting show. But by the end, I was really mad and frustrated because the way they treated the idea of being a mother and how they treated men, they made the men look like they couldn't handle anything. They weren't going to be connected or involved with their kids. Like, he's just the dad, whatever. You don't know anything. And that made me really upset. Enough that when my husband got done donating his plasma, he came out and he's like, what's wrong? And he wanted to help solve my problem. Sometimes problems can't be solved, right? And so I went from that really excited to not very excited, really frustrated at how often we have something that we want to watch. It's a good show. It's been running for years, and I really liked the message of it. Well, not really that message, but they had 3 or 4 people that I thought for sure were the bad guy, and they weren't. I was like, that was great for my intellect. I didn't appreciate how they snuck in all of these little things that we're supposed to not like men. And it's interesting how society sneaks these little filters into our life when we're not even paying attention. No wonder relationships struggle when we're being fed this kind of stuff all the time. Now, my husband cannot be the only person, the only man who is as wonderful as he is. That's just not feasible. To have so many people in the world and only have one awesome man in the world, that's not possible. There's more awesome guys out there. We need to let them be awesome. We trust them and give them a chance, right? My husband is the best dad ever. He connects with our kids. He plays with our kids. I remember when they were younger and my neighbors would be talking about like how they couldn't leave their kids with their dad because he's the man. He just won't know how to do it. Well, guess what? They know how to do a lot of stuff. They do things differently. It doesn't mean they can't take care of their kids. It doesn't mean they don't love their kids if they show it in a different way. There's a balance here. So, I pick up on these things because I am into relationships and I study these things. But we unknowingly are being manipulated to believe incorrect things about men. So I had this other experience this week that was so amazing, and it went right along with this. I was so amazed how this all went together this week. My best friend had a baby, and I was called to go and help her out. I was so excited, so honored. So I got to be the one taking the pictures and encouraging her, and her husband was there as well, the dad. Now, at first, he was like, I'm here, right? What am I supposed to do? He didn't know what to do. And then it got to the point where labor was so painful and so intense, and there's nothing you can do about it but sit and watch and wait and say, keep going, keep going. And he fell into this place of helplessness. And I've never been on the other watching and observing side before. I've had 6 kids, but I never watched anyone be born before this way. I watched a couple others, but it wasn't near the same. Because anyway, this one, I watched him as he went in this place of helplessness of how can I help my wife? How can I help my baby be born? How can I take her out of pain? And there's nothing he could do. And he wanted so badly to do something. Men are wired to fix problems. They talk less because they're trying to fix a problem. And that does not mean they don't care. It means they want to help. It's quite the opposite of sometimes it's portrayed as not caring because all they want to do is help fix the problem and they don't really want to listen. But that's how they show that they care because they don't know what else to do. And so as I watched him go into this place of helplessness, and then he's standing there just beside himself, and the baby is born, and he's still in this kind of place. It took a while to register that his daughter was born. Oh, his daughter was born, and she was just covered in goo and grossness. And the mom says, you want to hold her? And he's like, still in that I don't know what to do phase. And she was just crying, this beautiful little baby, just crying and screaming her lungs out. And he was standing there just kind of in shock and like, what do I do? And finally, I helped him. I said, I think that she wants her daddy to hold her. And when he picked her up, she stopped crying. She's a daddy's girl. And it was an instant bond. And they took her away and washed her up. And then he was like, throwing the camera at me. Take pictures. I want my girl. I want my girl. And it's amazing. Men do have compassion and caring and loving. We're going to visit more about this after the break. This is Layers of Communication. I'm your host, Lydia Taggart. TuneIn Radio, and Global BBM Global Network. You can call in at 1-866-451-1451. Welcome back to Layers of Communication. If you'd like to call in and join this conversation, our number is 1-866-451-1451. You're listening on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. I'm your host, Lydia Taggart. Just before we went to the break, we were talking about filters that social society, social media, the TV, just media in general, they sneak these little filters into whatever we're watching or listening to, and they're not necessarily true. Men can have compassion. Men can feel, and just because they are showing some sort of emotion does not mean that they're questioning their manhood. I watched yesterday as my son put his arm around his little friend, and his friend was kind of going through what we thought might be an allergic reaction. My son has recently had a severe allergic reaction. So he was talking over the parents going, "Where does it itch? Can you still breathe?" And going into all this, like, he was so worried about his friend. And in the end, it passed and he was okay. It wasn't a really bad allergic reaction. But my son, he's 12. He's 12 years old. And this little boy, they put their arms around each other and they're just good buddies. And I thought, you know what? You can have feelings and still be a boy. And so we have all these different filters that affect how we treat other people. I have so many stories about this week. It's just been a really crazy busy week with so many exciting experiences that have supported this idea that we don't have to believe what everybody tells us. And we have a guest here today with us, Sheila Davis. She is the founder of Yes Women's Network. And like I said before, this has been focusing mostly on men because of the show that I watched was against men. And now Sheila is going to share with us more about women's power, and I'm super excited to hear about this. We're going to have some balance here. The Yes Women Network. She's the founder, and she is an accomplished speaker, digital marketer, trainer, and mentor. She's known for her motivating and engaging presentation style, professional online work, freely giving expert advice that money in the bank works, and endlessly texting her children dab emojis. That's what all the cool moms do, right? Well, this cool mom, me, I don't do the dab because I hit myself in the face too much and it hurt. But Sheila's good at it because she's cool. Sheila feels most at home on the stage, where she inspires others to reach and exceed their financial goals while also placing their families at the top of their priority totem pole. She accomplishes this by engaging her audience through an interactive and high-energy experience. Sheila's presentation style not only focuses on teaching her audience how to achieve their dreams, but also doing it in such a way that they have fun while learning. Sheila knows that being a mom and being an entrepreneur have many challenges. She loves working with women who are juggling more than they can handle to help them find the joy in being the best they can be in all areas of their lives and business. So I'm really excited because I definitely am one of those women who are juggling a lot. And I've had some experiences and created some tools, and I'm excited to hear what Sheila has to share with us today. When Sheila isn't showing her clients how to double their income, you can find her clowning around with her family, including her husband and 8 children. She loves embarrassing her children by dancing or singing as they are out and about. However, most of the time she's making sarcastic comments at the wrong time. Well, Sheila, you and I should just go dance together and embarrass all the kids at the same time. That'd be great.
We absolutely should. We would have so much fun.
Do you have an experience to share about when was the most fun time that you've embarrassed your kids?
Oh, I embarrass my kids on a regular basis. I mean, I could tell you stories till the end of the day, but just the other day, my daughter had a friend over and we went to pick her up. And usually when I'm driving, especially when the kids are in the car, because they talk about things, I don't know, just teenagers, And so I was listening to my Harry Potter book, which is my getaway from everything. And as I was listening to the book, of course, my thoughts actually turn into British accent all on their own, like it just happens. So her friend, my daughter's friend gets in the car, and I just started using my British accent. And then I started quoting the book and all of that. And my daughter is like, stop. And her friend is like, that's awesome. You should do it more. So now when her friend comes over, she's like, hey, will you do your British accent for me? My daughter is just like, please, no, Mom, please don't do your British accent.
Oh, and I think that when we don't worry so much about when people are going to judge us and be embarrassed to be around us or whatever, then that leads to a life unfiltered. You're writing your book and it's called Life Unfiltered. Is this how you came up with the idea? Tell us where this idea came from.
Sure. So one of the things that a few years ago, I've got my stories, but it came to me that I realized that I didn't know who I was. There's a lot of things that led up to that, a lot of tragic things that ended up helping me to realize that. I sat there on the couch the day that I realized this, and I thought, I have no idea who I am. Zero. I had become what I thought everyone else wanted me to be. Every time I would say something, wear something, buy something, do something, make a decision, I realized that my first thought was, what will this person think of that? What will that person think of that? How will this affect me or my family if I go do this, if I make that decision? And I realized that I didn't know how to make my own decisions. If you've seen that movie, The Runaway Bride, Richard
Yes.
Gere is like, so he asks Julia Roberts, what kind of eggs do you like? And she tells him what kind of eggs. And then as he's interviewing her, her past runaway, whatever, the people that she didn't marry, they each said she liked a different kind of egg. And I literally had come to the point where I didn't know what kind of eggs I liked.
That's incredible.
And so, yes.
After the break, we'll talk more about how you came to know how to make your own decisions. That's a great visual. I love that show, and it's really memorable for me too. So after the break, we'll talk more with Sheila Davis about how she came to make her own decisions on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. I'm your host, Lydia Taggart, for Layers of Communication, and you can call in at 1-866-451-1451. Welcome back. I'm your host, Lydia Taggart. This is Layers of Communication on the TuneIn Radio app and BBM Global Network. You can call in at 1-866-451-1451. Today we're visiting with Sheila Davis and living a life unfiltered. Just before the break, she was talking about noticing that she didn't know how to make her own decisions. And Sheila, go ahead and share with us now how you came to switch that around and start making your own decisions.
So the day that I realized that I didn't know who I was, I realized that, couple things. First off, I was a clean slate. I could do anything I wanted to do. And I really got to dive back into who I was and look at the mistakes I'd made in the past, only for the purpose of not making them again and making some changes so that I could become who I wanted to be. Now that was in 2010. Here it is, 2017. And just a lot has happened in the last 7 years. And it's literally only in the last year that I believe I found the answers. I don't think it's something that can happen overnight. Maybe it depends on how far away you've gotten from really who you are. But as I came to realize who I was, the main recurring theme kept coming back to live a life unfiltered. I am an emotional person. I cry all the time. And my daughters are constantly, don't cry, Mom. Don't cry, Mom. It's going to be okay. Don't cry, Mom. Someone was singing in church yesterday, and I was just bawling my eyes out. Don't cry, Mom. But you know what? That's who I am. That's a part of who I am. And if I don't show who I am, then I'm not me. How can I be better for everyone else? How can I be the best mom in the world? By the way, my daughter told me last night, her friends like me better than their own moms. Little secret there.
Awesome.
But I think it's because I totally am goofy and silly around them, and I'm just myself. But how can I be the best mom? How can I be a friend? How can I be an amazing wife? How can I be a great entrepreneur? How can I be anything that I want to be if I can't be myself? So I make it a priority to, take care of myself. I have a morning routine. I make sure that, whatever comes out of my mouth comes out of my mouth. I mean, like you said in my bio, I'm fantastic at putting my foot in my mouth. I'm very flexible that way. And people have come to recognize that I am who I am, no matter where. So I was at lunch the other day, a business lunch, and a friend that I had made online, we had met for the first time in person. I think we'd been friends for a few months. And he said to me, you are exactly the same here that you are online. He says, I really love that about you, because there's a lot of people, I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys, but someone comes up to you and says, oh, I'm so-and-so, we're friends on Facebook. And you look at them and you wonder, really? Like, you're thinking of their profile picture, right? Or something that they posted or said, and you're like, man, you're not at all like I thought you were going to be. And this happens to me all the time on a regular basis. And I think it's really sad. My daughter loves Snapchat because of the filters. Like, I don't have very many pictures of her without bunny ears or a nose on her, dog nose, right? But you know what? If you make blueberry muffins and they turn out fantastic, and you take a picture of the blueberry muffin plate, and you first make sure that everything in the background is right, the lighting is right, you move all of the crumbs, you clean off that little area of the table, and then you even put a filter on the picture of the 450th picture that you've taken, and you filter that, and then you post it in like blueberry muffins. Well, that's awesome. Those blueberry muffins are amazing, but what really happened, right? So if you zoom out of that picture, this is actually, someone did this, like I saw this. They said, look at this picture of blueberry muffins. They zoomed out. The kitchen is a mess. There's spilled milk. There's a crying kid. You know what? That's what life it really is. And it's okay to show the whole kitchen. It's okay. I live in a very small trailer. I admit it. I live in a trailer. But you know what? I don't live under a viaduct. So I'm happy with my trailer. The fact is that we have to, number one, live our own life unfiltered. When you take a selfie, take it, post it, share it, do whatever you want to with it. Don't spend 30 minutes taking a selfie. Number two, chances are the selfies you're looking at, even if they say unfiltered, probably are. Let's just take that in consideration. The stuff that we see, the stuff that happens around us, does not happen perfectly spontaneously. It's usually with some great effort. I would really just love for everybody to post an unfiltered picture today. Just stop right what you're doing right now. Take a picture, tag me and Lydia in it if you're our friends on Facebook or whatever, and just post it and be like, you know what? I'm going to live my life unfiltered because this is who I am, and I want people to know who I am, and I'm going to be happy being who I am.
I love it. I'm going to go post one right now if I can get my phone to work.
Oh, we should do it too. So I'm going to do it too. I'm going to take a picture right now. I'm not going to post it right now because I'm using the computer but I'm going to take a picture right now. Let's do it, Lydia. Let's give our listeners a chance to do it too.
Do a picture. Everybody's getting their picture right. I think that's just fun. And after the break, we can talk more about how many pictures we see with us tagged in them on Facebook. That's going to be really great. Right? Tag us on your pictures. Everybody who's listening, tag us. It's Lydia Taggart and Sheila Davis. And I'm your host for Layers of Communication. We're on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. Call in at 1-866-451-1451. Stay close. Send us those pictures. Stay close. Welcome back to the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. I'm your host, Lydia Taggart, and this is Layers of Communication. We're visiting today with Sheila Davis, and the number you can call in to join our conversation is 1-866-451-1451. And if you do want to call in, you should do it pretty soon before we run out of time so we can actually visit with you. So before the break, we were visiting about posting your picture on Facebook and tagging me and Sheila in it so we can see how we are living unfiltered. And I just love that idea to live as you are and take that frame. Like we have our frame training. Everybody knows about the frame training through my website, lydiataggart.com. And you can take your frame and you can change it, that frame of reference and how you're seeing the world. And that's kind of the whole purpose of this talk show. Layers of communication, changing what the layers are that we're seeing through. And Sheila shared a good idea about muffins that are fantastic. You take a picture of the plate, but when you expand your frame and you can see a baby crying in the background and the rest of the house is a mess and stuff like that. So Sheila, thank you for sharing that. That is a fun one. And tell us more about how did you switch it? What are some tips that our audience could use if they are finding themselves where you and I actually was before too, that we don't know who we are, that we're not able to make our own decisions and live this unfiltered kind of life? What is a step that they can do other than just posting a picture on Facebook? I think that's a great first step. If you're new to this idea, be brave, go ahead, post that picture without a filter on it and see what happens. And you're going to live. I think that's one of the things that we have a hard time with. We think we're going to die if somebody sees the real us, and it just isn't true. You live so much better if you're not worried about what other people are thinking, and spending that 30 minutes to take the selfie, like you said. If we just take it, post it, and move on, we've got like 29 and a half minutes left to live life. What's
right?
Something else you do, Sheila?
Absolutely. I think for me, it was a long process because I had a lot of things I needed to change. So I think, first of all, one of the things that I really recommend that everyone do, especially women, is that there's these two steps. First off, take a sheet of paper and at the very top write, I am. And then make a list of all of the things that you are. This list is going to start out, I guarantee you, sounding something similar to this: mother, wife, daughter, friend, cook, chef. Okay, maybe, I don't know. Some of us are cooks, some of us are chefs. I'm a cook. Landscaper, carpool person. It's going to have all of these kind of things on it, right? So you're just going to do a little bit of a brain dump, and that's okay. Just dump all of these terms and labels and things that you have taken on, that you have become, that you think about on a regular basis. And let me remind you that you are already very good at. At the bottom of that sheet, you may want to do something similar that I did the very first time I did my I am statement. You might want to also do a brain dump of all of those labels that you've given to yourself or that other people have given you that are not true, or things that you are not. The first time someone asked me to finish the statement, I am, I literally thought of probably 50 things I am not, because I couldn't think of one single thing that I was. And the things I did think about that I was were things like wife and mother, housekeeper. These are things that we do, and we're so good at them, and they're a huge part of who we are as women, and they're very important. However, if that is all you are, you may feel a bit empty. I did a survey. 85% of the women that I surveyed said they felt like something was missing in their life and they felt empty. I can almost guarantee that the biggest piece that they're missing in their life is that they don't know who they are. It took me 3 months to make this next list, but you're going to throw that first list away. Just do a brain dump, take a full day, do it in an hour, do it in 15 minutes, doesn't matter. But take that first list, do a brain dump on the things that you are not, or the things that you think you are, the things that other people have told you are, and just throw it away. Tear it up into tiny little pieces, burn it, have a ritual, it doesn't matter. Then you're going to get out another sheet of paper, and you're going to put at the top, I am. And then you're going to write the things that you really are. So let me tell you a little bit about Lydia, because Lydia and I met in September. And the very first thing I thought when I saw Lydia was, oh my gosh, her hair is freaking amazing. And the next thing I thought about Lydia, I did tell you, didn't I? Because I love your hair. I absolutely love it. The second thing I thought was, she has got such a beautiful smile, and the energy coming from her is incredible. And we just hit it off right away. I mean, we just became friends. right away. And I remember thinking that Lydia, that you were very relaxed and calm and peaceful. And I thought, man, how can she be so calm and peaceful? Because I always feel like I'm in turmoil. I feel like I'm always, running around a million miles a minute. But these are the things that are going to be on your new list. Things like, I am beautiful. Doesn't matter what you look like, you're beautiful. You're alive and you're working at everything that you want to do. You get up every morning and you take care of business. Yes. I'm not talking about physical beauty. You are strong. You are brave. You are powerful. You are kind. You are smart. You can learn things. These are the kind of things that I want you to put on your next list. And in doing this, you will be able to see how amazing you are, and it will be a lot easier to live an unfiltered life.
Yes, and can I add something to that too? Those labels
Absolutely.
that people give us, sometimes I remember when back in my past, I didn't believe the good things that people told me either, because I had believed so many of the lies. And if somebody told me that they thought I was beautiful or composed, I was like, oh, if you only knew, and I totally brushed it aside. But I want to add and invite our audience on that first list, the labels of things that could be considered a compliment. Take those as a truth, because they probably are. If somebody else is seeing good in you that you're having a hard time seeing in yourself, it is there. Trust that they care about you. Trust that goodness really is there, that you are beautiful, that you can be composed. And maybe if you took your perspective to their perspective, you might see that in you too.
It's so true. I mean, how often does someone say something to us like when I told you I thought that your hair was amazing, that maybe you would come back with a comment. It's like, oh, and it's how, oh, my hair, oh, I wish it wasn't, whatever, blah, blah, whatever. And you try and degrade what that person is saying to you or write it off, or maybe you're afraid of being, considered as conceited if you say thank you, but you very genuinely said, oh, thank you. I know you were frustrated with your hair. Because we had a conversation after. But initially it was, oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah, and I've practiced that, accepting compliments. That was one of my biggest things to be able to come out of my low spot, accepting compliments. If somebody sees it in you enough that they can say it, because how many times do we think something but we don't share it? It's an extra strong emotion or a feeling or belief that it's big enough to go and share it with somebody, because we do reject it so often. And we've come to this part, and I think in all of our society, we've come to this place where we're afraid of sharing our feelings and our thoughts, even if it's a positive thing, because it's going to be viewed as negative. So I was like, wow, you told me that you liked my hair. Yay. It did take me a long time to decide that, yeah, my hair was pretty okay. And I've had so many compliments on my hair, but it wasn't, because my hair, I don't know if all of you have seen my hair. It's silver gray, white. I don't know what color to call it, but it's not what it used to be. And
it's beautiful.
Thank you. My hair is an extension of who I am. And I let it go when I didn't have time and money to keep it up. But then I decided, you know what, this is who I am, and I'm not going to try and be somebody else anymore. Now, I might consider getting a streak of purple or something, because that's fun and that's expressive of who I am. But I'm not going to try and cover up who I am anymore. And it's time for another break. So we are going to take that quick break. Call in. This is your last chance to call in. Actually, nope, we're out of time to call in. So join us after the break at BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. I'm your host, Lydia Taggart, for Layers of Communication. Welcome back to TuneIn Radio and the BBM Global Network. I'm your host, Lydia Taggart, and this is Layers of Communication. Before the break, we were talking about living life unfiltered and not worrying about what other people think, and living as we want to be, who we are. We were talking with Sheila Davis and her tips of writing an I am list and then writing a second I am list of who you really are, what you really are. And Sheila, do you have an experience that you can share with us about how this has affected your communication with other people, like your family?
Yeah. One thing that I realized in going through this whole transition of finding out who I was, re-meeting myself, I did with a friend of mine. I don't know if you guys have heard of tapping, but he did tapping with me. And he helped me realize some things about myself. And if you ever listen to other people who tell stories about, their childhood or things that have happened to them in their life and how they inadvertently push those things on their kids. For example, like, I'm terrified of water. So I made it a point to make sure my kids would never be terrified of water. I wanted them to be swimmers. I wanted them to love the ocean. I mean, I could sit and look at the ocean. I don't want to ever go in it. So I made sure that I did not push my feeling of limitations or inhibitions over on my children. But something I also did subconsciously was to help them realize their own personal true value. And so I'll be honest, like, my experience in living life unfiltered and I can't remember your question. Tell me your question. So it has to do with,
because how has this affected your communicating? Yes.
Yeah. So how it affected me, honestly, I see more in my children. So my children range from age almost 26 to 14. Watching them and seeing them, the way that they communicate with the world, the way that they communicate with me, they have helped me realize more than anything that when I make a comment, like, I feel so fat, I'm so fat, my hair is so this, I am so that, I'm this or that, they stand up and tell me, no, you're not, Mom, this is the truth. Or, yes, you are, Mom, you're a goofball. They tell me because I tell them. And I believe that is a big thing for me, is that my children live their lives. Okay, I know my daughter has all these pictures of, from Snapchat or whatever, but they really do live their life unfiltered. They have become very strong, independent individuals, and I really can't take much credit for it. That's a lot of who they are. But they help me to find that too. Now that they're older, they're being a little bit of a parent to me. And so they remind me, when they hear me speak, I'll come off the stage and they'll be like, Mom, you said this. It's not true. Don't say it again. When my daughter, who's 16, was really sick last year and in the hospital, we thought she was going to die. And she heard me say, I feel so helpless. And she said, Mom, you are not helpless. That, to me, we all love mystery. We all love to be surprised. We want, amazing things to happen spontaneously like they do in the movies. It doesn't happen that way. We need someone sometimes to tell us, you said this, it's not true. Fix it. Don't say it again. Change your thinking. You said that, it's true. Let's fix that too. And the honest truth is that living a life unfiltered also means living a life of trust, integrity, honesty, faith, and all of those other amazing things that we have to be. If we live our life unfiltered, we will become those things. Well, because we will live with real intention. If we want to have a good selfie, we're going to get up and shower that day. We're not going to take 450 pictures. We're going to get up and feel good about ourselves so that we can post a silly picture. And so to me, life unfiltered literally is everything. It's every quality that an amazing person would be. And are we perfect? No. And that's okay too. That's a part of who we are. There's only one person who ever lived on life on this earth as a perfect being. And that's not me. So I'm imperfect. Right. You're imperfect,
Human is. It is the way we are.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned if we want to be having good selfies, then we'll get up and we'll do something about it. We'll take care of ourselves. We'll take a shower. And maybe we could add to our list of what we really are to who we want to be. Because a lot of times I hear women especially saying, I don't remember who I am. And we go back and try to become what we used to be, but it's impossible to go back to where we were before. We've had extra experiences added to who we are. What do we want to be? Where do we want to go from here? We can put that on there too. and they
Yeah,
tell
for sure. I mean, I'm reading. Sorry, go ahead. So I'm reading Brendan Bouchard's book, High Performers. I don't know, that's not the exact title, but and one of the things that he talks about is to become in high performance, to live the best person that you can be, you need to look at who you are in 5 years and start living that now, because it's going to take you 5 years to figure it out. But look at the future and what is it? You know, it's okay to look at the past to remember so you don't make the same mistakes, but don't look back and say, I wish I was that. I wish I was this. If like I wanted to lose weight by the time I turned 50, I wanted to be incredibly healthy and fit. Did I wait until 2 weeks before I turned 50? No, I'm 47. I've been working out a year. I'm down 35 pounds. So, 12 more to go. That's amazing. It took me a year to lose 35 pounds. I probably gained and lost another 50 or so over that year too. But the fact is that you have to look at who you want to be. You said it perfectly. Who I am now and who I'm going to be in 5 years are different. And how am I going to become that person and start living it right away? I think that's incredible.
Yes. And Sheila, I want to have people know where to contact you and learn more about you. Will you stick around for after this break? We'll come back and let you tell us that. And can you stick around for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I'm your host, Lydia Taggart. This is Layers of Communication, and you're listening on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. Welcome back to TuneIn Radio and the BBM Global Network. This is Layers of Communication, and I am your host, Lydia Taggart. We've been visiting today with Sheila Davis with the Yes Women's Network. Sheila, tell our audience how they can continue this conversation with you and where they can find you.
You bet. So you can just go to yeswomensnetwork.com, WOMENS. And if you're looking for me personally, my name is Sheila J. Davis. You can probably find me on Facebook or through the Yes Women's Network. Just come join the group. There's a pop-up right when you get to the site.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today, Sheila. I'll let you get on with your busy day and hope that you can come and join us again in the future sometime.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. So one of the things that Sheila said that really stood out to me was they tell me because I tell them. And it goes along with that. What goes around comes around. And how many times do you look in the mirror after you've been out smiling and chatting and visiting with everybody, and you go in and you find a mirror and you look in the mirror and you've got this big old chunk of something green stuck between your teeth? And I've done this just on Saturday. I was at a party for Christmas, and I don't know how many people I had smiled at and talked with before my friend came over and she says, Lydia, you got something between your teeth right there. Nope, still there. Try again. Nope, it's still there. Your tongue's not working. And I have a stronger bond with her because she was brave enough to tell me maybe those other people didn't notice. I'm going to say they just didn't notice. But when we are open enough, brave enough, and honest enough to help each other out, we build a different kind of bond. I have a different relationship with that friend than the others who may have seen and not said something. So one other thing I wanted to continue on with how men and women are created differently. We know that there's a lot of physical traits that are different, but did you know that men have their tear ducts built differently than women's tear ducts? They're bigger. They can hold more moisture before it spills out and shows that they're crying. So men can have the emotion of crying, but you don't see it because their tear ducts are built differently. When I learned that, I was so fascinated that we never really can judge what people are truly feeling unless we ask them. They might not want to share. It's not always obvious in their physical demeanor. So I thought that was just fascinating. Take that with you and allow people, men and women, to live unfiltered. Allow us all, including yourself, to step into who you really are, who you want to be. Take those little pieces of maybe social media or other media forms. They might be telling you something that isn't really all that true. So I had this conversation with one of my boys today. I have 5 boys. I don't know if you guys realize that. I've got 6 kids. One is my daughter, and then I've got 5 boys. So I've got kind of a partial spot in my heart for boys and how they are being picked on and treated in the media. So, and I have been married coming up on 22 years. I think it is totally possible for you to have happiness in an equal relationship when we give each other these chances to pick up that frame and move it, change it. If you want to join the frame training, you can go to lydiataggart.com. We'd love to have you join us. And if you want to contact me, you can also find that form at lydiataggart.com. We've got awesome things to talk about, and I would love to hear from you and what you want to talk about as we discuss the layers of communication. All of these experiences, life contributes to how we interact with other people. So I will see you next week on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. I'm your host, Lydia Taggart. This is Layers of Communication. We will be visiting with Tyler Watson and discussing his Follow the Thread formula. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Layers of Communication with your host, Lydia Taggart. Tune in next week as we break through the layers in order to communicate and connect down to your core on Lydia Taggart's Layers of Communication.